Hello everyone, it is I, the Fable of Fables, your new best friend. How you guys doing? I'm reacting to even more Gundam stuff. Why? I don't know. I just thought, why not? I have some time, might as well. Let's go.
Another day, another batch of Advance of Zeta machines, and this time they decided to focus on the Hazel early type, or as they so eloquently put it, the Erari type.
The
At the
error
start of its
What in the
life, the
world?
early type was nothing more than a gem quell with a Gundam styled head. But even though it didn't affect the performance,
Yes?
it did have an important impact on morale. For the Xeon remnants that the Titans test team would be facing off against, it would strike fear in their hearts as it brought back the memory of the famous Gundam from the 1-year war.
Oh yeah.
And at the same time, it would bolster morale of allies, because they would now be fighting alongside this fearsome Gundam. Many years later then, when some stragglers of the Titans decided to flee to Mars instead of surrender to the Federation, they would replicate this modification with whatever parts they still had on hand, and designated the Hazel Early type as a commander unit, a role well suited for a Gundam type, although it is of course debatable if it was truly a Gundam, something that even some Titans wondered about back in the day. But the most important thing is that its original pilot, Elliot Hunter, fully believed the machine to be a Gundam and also used it as such. Even though this machine was originally only intended for spare parts for the original Hazel, a shortage of units would see this machine pushed into service and modified to test out various pieces of equipment. So by the end of its lifetime, it had become more Gundam than Jim, and it was also influential in the design of the Gundam Mark II and the later refined Barzam. A new illustration we see popping up here then is the Hazel Reserve unit with the Chobham armor.
That's an
As
interesting
discussed in the Jim
design.
Quells video, the armor here was almost the same as that of the Alex, but only applied to the body and the skirt armor in order to minimize the weight and therefore the effect it had on the mobile suit's mobility. On the modern beam-equipped battlefield, this armor should have been mostly obsolete, but because the main role of the Titans was hunting down Xeon remnants, who still mostly used physical weaponry, this armor did prove useful for the Augusta-based gyms, like the Gym Quell, and possibly even the Gym Custom. Still, for the Titans test team, it would typically only be outfitted to units with higher thrust capabilities to completely overcome the negative effects on the machine's agility. For example, the Hazel Reserve unit equipped with the experimental Tri-Booster unit, a unit that was based on the backpack of the regular Hazel and was originally also intended to be tested out on it, but it was instead used by the Reserve unit. And because of this, the unit would be officially pushed into service and was redesignated as the RX-121-2 Hazel Unit 2. The unit had now officially become a Gundam and was assigned to Elliot Hunter, who
Why
now
did
not
he...
only had the
I understand. Okay, so from the last video I saw, I know that he defected, but like, is there a reason specifically why he defected? Defect, is that the how you say it? Defect? Yes, words.
honor of piloting a Gundam, but also the pressure of piloting a Gundam.
Oh dear,
After
poor
all,
boy.
the legendary Gundam wasn't a mobile suit that could or should be downed easily. But back to the Tri-Booster unit. It consisted of 2 booster pods and a Sturm booster that also contained propellant, and in addition to providing extra thrust, all 3 of these appendages could also be used for AMBAC maneuvering through an early version of the movable frame. As a result, the Hazel II was a highly mobile machine that booked great results during both mock and real combat. However, these results were not to be underestimated. Because the Tri-Booster unit was originally meant for the heavier, regular Hazel,
Oh dear.
its center of gravity wasn't optimal for the Hazel II, resulting in an unstable and twitchy machine. But thanks to Elliot Hunter's excellent piloting skills, data was successfully gathered and used to finalize the movable frame technology. Also, comparisons between the Triumph booster unit and the booster units of the Gundam development project were drawn, suggesting that the Titans might have used some pressure to get Anaheim to hand over the data of the Gundams that no longer officially existed. And if you want to see how the Hazel Unit 2 eventually ended up, you can watch my development history on the unit, which is currently on screen and also down
Which I have, which is gonna also, which I have, and you probably guys are probably already watching it because this is the first video on that line.
below in the description and the top comment. As for the rest of this video, we'll be having a look at a different evolutionary branch of the Hazel early type,
Oh dear.
the Hazel Kelderek, named after the hunter from Shardik, another novel written by the author of Watership Down.
Oh
Richard
no,
Adams.
why?
And the reason for this is meant to be symbolic. It shows that the machine is still part of the same series, but that it follows a different plan compared to the other TR units.
Watership Down.
Although, I personally think that they just came up with this reason because they thought it was a really cool sounding name for the machine.
Yeah, that
So,
sounds about right.
after the completion of the Gundam Mark II, engineers at Pohnpei Island tried to find ways to mass produce it, and one of these ways was by taking the Hazel early type as a base and testing out various parts of the Mark II to see how viable they were for mass production. The weapons and backpack were taken directly from the Mark II, whereas the legs were outfitted with a variety of different thruster modules. The main goal of these was to increase the mobility of the machine, and inspiration was taken from units of the G4 plan, being the Alex and the Mudrog, and their subsequent developments, the Pale Rider line and the G-line units. And ironically enough, even though it was the Titans testing out
Ooh, look at these beautiful units. Look at this one here and this one over here.
this unit, they would only see minimal results from it in the form of the refined Barzam. Instead, it would be the Federation who benefited the most from it, with the Gym 3 being heavily influenced by the Kelderek's
There's
data,
a Gym 3?
and even the Jagan benefiting from it. And as with every Gundam, a full armor version also existed, which not only has superior defensive capabilities, but also superior offensive capabilities. For armor, it now has the Chobham armor, extra armor on the ankle armor, and what I think is reactive armor on the shield. It's not specifically mentioned
okay.
what it is, so your guess is as good as mine. In terms of weapons then, it used the Mark II's beam rifle with integrated grenade launcher, later adopted by the refined Barzam, hip-mounted large missile launchers, later adapted by the Gym 3, 2 beam sabers, and more missiles attached to the backpack. And of course, it wouldn't be an advance of Zeta machine without an even crazier variant.
Oh no.
Introducing the Hoist, or Holst, depending on what you want to go with. They write it as Hoist, but it's named after the medieval composer Gustav Holst. Remember, the
Interesting.
20th century belongs to the Middle Ages, according to the people from the Universal Century. And
Why?
it's also stated that Hoist could refer to the operational use of this system. It was a high mobility unit for use on high gravity locations like Jupiter, so in a sense, it would hoist the mobile suit up. And in order to achieve this,
okay.
it uses the Masala's massive booster pods. And another thing that it borrows from the Masala are the claw pods. And one of the machines that this thing was tested out on was the Hazel Kelderek, now redesignated as the Hazel Kelderek Hoist. And
Why?
that is unfortunately everything that we know about this machine so far. One final thing then on the standard Kelderek that I want to tackle is that it bears a striking resemblance to two other machines that we've seen in the past. The first one is the next generation mass production prototype machine that we've seen in the manual of the high-grade Jim Quell. The only two differences are the color scheme and the boosters for the legs, and even the name suggests that this was the same machine. After all, the Kelderek was a trial machine for next generation mass production units, so it does stand to reason that the Kelderek was first made as the next generation mass production prototype machine, and then that once it was decided to also use it as a testbed for the leg thrusters, that it was redesignated as the Hazel Kelderek. The second machine then, ironically enough, might look closer to the Kelderek, and could even be considered as simply the Kelderek, but with a different experimental leg thruster, but its role is completely the opposite. Whereas the Kelderek was meant to try out equipment for mass production units, this machine was meant to serve as the next generation prototype mobile suit. Now, you could interpret this as also being a next generation mass production machine, but since a variant of the Hazel Ozla is specifically named the next generation mass production prototype machine, it feels to me like they're specifically talking about the next generation Gundam or otherwise high performance Ace mobile suit. So it seems like we have some retconning going on, or two machines with a different purpose from a different time. But that has been all for this video on the Hazel Early type and the Kelderek. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for more similar content in the future. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.
Alright, guys, if you like this kind of content, do like, comment, and subscribe. I guess I'm sorry for not speaking so much. This unit doesn't really seem that interesting to me. I mean, it has its moments and has its things, but like a lot of the other units speak to me more on like a weird level. I like the design, but it's I feel bad saying that. It's just okay, whatever. Bye. Sorry.